Hello and welcome back to Football Kentron, the only English language podcast dedicated to Armenian football. Or maybe the only podcast dedicated to Armenian football. I don't know. We haven't looked. I am your host, Adam, and I am joined here today by the usual suspects, Chadens and Armen. How are you boys doing today?
Frustrated as usual.
Yeah.
Not the results we wanted.
Yeah,
especially after the national team cap and the Tsarukyan event at the UFC.
Yeah, that was a frustrating fight last night.
Everything adds up, you know.
Based on congratulations to basketballs.
Oh yeah, basketball. Well, who lost to Syria by like a point or something today? Yeah. Anyway, as you could tell, we are recording well after the Armenian National Team's what can probably only be described as embarrassing Nations League campaign so far. And we will be first taking a look at the last two national team games that we still have yet to discuss. First, we're going to start off with Armenia's 3-0 loss versus the Ukraine. This match was, of course, played in Poland, where it was a very tactically defensive approach from Joachim Kaparos, which ended up, of course, being the downfall once again. I'll start with you, Armen. 60 minutes, 70 minutes of solid focus from Armenia. What went wrong?
You said it. I mean, I would say that Malinovsky's opener was unstoppable. So that one couldn't have been avoided. But maybe that's exactly what happened. Maybe that external, unavoidable force, unstoppable force that was Malinovsky's strike, that made them fall, because otherwise Ukraine weren't really playing that much better. I mean, yeah, they had possession and all, but they weren't breaking through the defense. In fact, that's the whole reason why the score got open. A long distance shot, and that was it. That was all that it took the opposition to break our spirits, and that cannot happen to a professional team so often, at least.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned that, because if I recall correctly, one thing that we had discussed in depth about in the Scotland match, the first match against Scotland in match day 2, was Armenia's inability to get anything going in the final third, and this was pretty much the case again in this game. I mean, there wasn't really much happening for us.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, a little bit, kind of, in a way. But then again, the Scots had a much easier time breaking through our defense, and they were looking way more dangerous than the Ukrainians. Which tells me that our play against Ukraine was pretty much better than the one we just played against Scotland in Glasgow at the first Scotland game. So I wouldn't say that the same happened in Ukraine against Ukraine that happened in Glasgow. I would say things were a little bit different. We were playing a little bit better, especially in defense, much more organized, and I guess rotation wasn't entirely there, and that's another big issue we have to address. But
we'll get into that. Well, that's exactly actually what my next question was going to be, and this is going to be to Chadens. In this game against Ukraine, we saw a little bit of rotation, not as much as we would have liked, but weirdly enough, two very key players to our national team, Eduard Spertsyan and your, of course, Cypriot buddy, Hovannes Hambarzumian of Anatorsi, were left off of the squad entirely for this game and not even given options from the bench. What were your thoughts about that, about the rotation, Chadens, or lack thereof?
I was expecting the rotation. If I remember correctly, I was saying something in the group chat that I was expecting it. But I mean, look, we don't have a lot of players that we can say that we can rely on. So any kind of rotation would be like, wow, why is he not playing? Why is he not continuing?
I have to disagree, but go on.
Their form.
My point is, Chadens, more of, don't you think that these guys should have at least been on the bench to be an option to come out?
Bench, obviously, left out of the squad doesn't make sense, though.
Armen, what are your thoughts?
I have to disagree that we don't have depth. I think we do have depth. What we don't have is trust in that depth. What we don't have is the right calls, and sometimes that's not even up to the coach. We know this by now. I mean, for instance, a player that started against, actually 2 players that started against Ukraine that should have well started against Scotland, for instance, right? Without going further, Artaktasyan and Eduard Babayan, they started against Ukraine and they were, safe bet is to call both of them the standouts in that game against Ukraine.
Absolutely.
I get that Babayan had to be subbed off early because of the yellow card and the lack of practice, but for those 55 to 60 minutes, he was the only one doing something in offense and contributed a lot in defense. And Artaktasyan was a beast for the entire game. So I wouldn't say that we don't have depth. We do. We just have to work on it. I mean, trust in that depth, getting players in and making them play. No, the depth is there. It's other things that's getting in the way.
Well, speaking of getting in the way, Ukraine got in the way of us getting some points, but it was a little bit expected, I would say. We knew going into this Nations League, these first 4 matches, that we had an away game against Scotland and then away game to Ukraine, and we weren't necessarily expecting points. Points would have been nice, but it wasn't an expectation. But we did expect, when we come back home, to get something off of Scotland, at least a point. And it kind of started off a little bit weird, because speaking of this, keeping on this topic of rotation, Sargis Adamian was completely dropped from the squad, having played, I think, a total of about 135 minutes in 3 games, and then he just fell off the face of the squad, which was the other weird decision, considering, at least keep him on the bench, and he's a great game-changing option. I mean, he's one of our most quality players. Anyway, so lineup comes out against Scotland. Not many rotations. Bayramyan and Barsagyan starting for their 4th game in a row. I think Tico was the only player.
That was awful.
Tico was the only player that did not rest, or I believe, at all. I think he started every game. He did get subbed off in 1 game, but it was very late, and I believe that was the game against Ukraine. But despite all of these fears, this game started off tremendously for us. And it was, of course, Tigran Barsagyan who had an incredible play down the right wing, outpacing the defender, faking him out, getting past another defender, and then squaring it to Vahan Bichakchan to score his first competitive goal for the national team. And 5 minutes into this game against Scotland in Yerevan, we were up 1-0. And I think there was a moment during that time where we felt like this is ours for the taking. Right, Armen?
Not just for a moment, I would say for the entire first half until that incident.
Which we will get to. But first,
the game was there. I mean, for 45 minutes, 44. Even when they scored the equalizer.
Yes.
When it went 1-1, I believe it was around the 15th to 20th minute or something. Even after that, our players did not lose focus as I would have thought they would. They got back in the game, and for the second half or the first half, from 21st minute until that 44th minute, it was 20 to 25 minutes of, again, very organized defense and a dominant display. Even though we were mostly in defense, we were the more dangerous force.
And that's evident by the amount of shots that we had in that first half. We had a tremendous number of opportunities, including another offsides goal. This is the second offsides goal of this campaign so far. where Eduard Spertsyan, with an over-the-top ball, found Bayramyan, who on his first attempt couldn't finish, but then put it in the back of the net in his second attempt. And it was a very close offside decision. It was the correct decision, but it was extremely close. And I remember on a couple of occasions in that first half, Eduard was making some incredible passes. I mean, I remember a great through ball straight down the middle of the defense to Tigran Barsegyan, the over-the-top ball to Bayramyan. He was controlling that midfield. And I think what we had seen during that, like, 44 minutes, I'm going to call it, I think that's exactly what Joaquin Caparros was trying to get us to play this whole time. That was literally how I think he tinkered to the point that he finally found it. He found, this is exactly what it was supposed to be like. Granted, there was a lack of quality and tired legs, which led to us not capitalizing on some chances. And that goes to, like, what you said, Armin, of if Babayan was in, which I fully believe he should have started, it would have been a lot different. I believe he would have put away a couple of those chances that Barsegyan that couldn't put away. So, but then we get into, again, the decision making of squad selection, of starting 11 selection, and then in the 44th minute, I think exactly what we had feared came to fruition. Now I'm gonna let Armin or Chadens, whoever wants to explain what happened, because at the time I had to, like, scramble back to my laptop to get onto a Zoom meeting, so I didn't really see what had happened. I only saw it a little bit later. So Armin, can you explain to the listeners what happened?
All right. Let's get into the incident per se. It was a foul play, a little bit, just stuff that happens in football. A challenge, a tackle here, a challenge there, an elbow, a shove, and the Scottish player goes down to the floor, gets back up, says something to the player that committed the foul, which was Arman Hovhannisyan, and which most people by now remember as the guy that got the red card against Norway in that tragic night, which we won't get into. I think the Scots did their homework, because they knew this guy gets easily angry. The Scottish player said something to Arman, and he completely lost his head. He completely lost it. He went nuts, and for some reason, Arman said something back. Then the Scottish said something back. Arman went onto him, like, got in his face, literally.
Yeah, I think he was like, "Aura." You could see that.
Yeah, literally that classic word. He got into his face, literally, and said something. He was about to kill him, and that was enough for the Scot to in a very smart Latin American fashion, went down to the floor, acting as if Arman headbutted him, which of course didn't happen, but that's enough. The gesture is enough for the ref to consider that a red card foul. And that was it for us. Red card. By the way, that's the incident, but we also, and we're constantly reminded by Scottish fans from the Glasgow game, from the first game against Scotland, that when the Scots scored that supposed third goal that was ruled offside, would have been the third goal in only the first half. That situation, Arman lost his head again and grabbed a water bottle and literally threw it nowhere, like the empty space, in absolute anger, and it could have hit someone. And if it did, that would have been another red card for him, and could have well been another fiasco. The lesson here is that Arman may be somewhat good. Sometimes I stand by this. He's not a bad player, but his indiscipline and lack of responsibility make him kind of a bad player. That's the reason why, despite having good performances both in Ukraine and Kazakhstan where he played. I saw his games. I followed his campaigns, and he played well in both leagues, which are top 30 leagues, both of them. But for some reason, and now I know which reason it is, he never lasted more than a season in each league. Well, that reason is indiscipline. Another huge issue that Armenia football needs to address.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we saw the immediate ramifications of that as Scotland went up 2-1 within a minute or 2 minutes of the red card. So I think, and Joaquin Caparros kind of put it best in his post-match press conference, where he said as soon as that red card was shown, he said the game was over. And he was correct, because when we got out into the second half, there were some wholesale changes from the Armenian side, and Scotland, within the first 10 minutes of the second half, scored twice. And they were up 4-1, which ended up being the final score, except for the fact that despite being a man down, Armenia were still creating a number of chances. And I think one bright spot was Artur Seropian, who came off the bench, and he had this fantastic individual effort, got past the Scottish defender, like faked him out like nothing, and then gave it across the face to an oncoming Calvo Hovanesian, who of course couldn't finish the chance, because why would he? And and I believe Tigran Barserian had a couple of. He had this insane effort from 40 yards out, which is typical Tico, but it ended up forcing a very good save from the goalkeeper. And we had several opportunities in that half, which the score could have easily been 2-4, 3-4. And if we had taken our opportunities in the first half, maybe even 4-4. But that wasn't even the worst part about the game. Near the end of the match, Kamo Hovanesian, who came off the bench in this game, also got a red card. So we went down to 9 players, and I think
I even forgot about that one.
Yeah, I know. It's like that's how many things happened in this game that we forgot about it. And again, it was a lack of discipline.
It was criminal.
Stupid, terrible decision making, and I think it
was really dangerous too, man.
Yeah, very stupid tackle. And I think it just goes to show you that these two players just don't belong. And I think if the Football Federation is listening, and if the Football Federation had any sort of a spine, I think they would just make the correct call here and just say, you know what, it's time to look elsewhere. And unfortunately for these two guys who happened to come out,
it's time for changes.
And it is time for a change. And oddly enough, in this match, we found out, I think a little bit after the match, the Sevikyan brothers, who one of them is a right winger, the other one's a right back, which are these two positions that these two gentlemen play, had attended the game with I believe it was the Minister of Sport, or who I can't remember which minister of Armenia.
Yeah, it was.
Or cultural affairs.
It's the one taking. It's all one ministry.
Minister of Football
Kentron. And it's the guy taking care of the Sevikyan brethren case.
Yeah, and I'm sure someone whispered to those boys' ears during this game that you see those two guys that just got sent off, that would be your competition for your place in the squad.
Yeah, don't do that.
There is none. Don't do that, and you're on the team. So, anyway, in sum, we've played 4 games. We are currently bottom of the table on 3 points. We have a 1-0 win against Ireland, and then a 3-0 loss against Ukraine, and then a 4-1 loss against Scotland, and then I think it was like another narrow loss against Scotland. So we end it with -7 goal difference. We've only scored 2 goals, and we've conceded 9 in 4 games, despite playing in a defensive fashion. And I think we can say overall the national team's downfall in this window was the mentality or lack thereof. But the Nations League is not yet over, because in late September, Armenia National Team still have 2 matches to save themselves, and that would be against, I believe, the Ukraine at home in Yerevan first, and then away to the Republic of Ireland for the last match day, which will likely be a 2011 nightmare scenario all over again, if unless we see some dramatic changes. Next up, Chadens. Lots of transfers going on.
It's that time of the season again.
Yeah. You like this time of the season, huh?
It's interesting. You know, behind the scenes, we're also trying to make things happen. You know what I mean? Wink, wink. So let's get started with the transfer window. So these are the main notable names, notable transfers. The first one, we can begin with Henrikh Mkhitaryan. So there are many reports that are saying that he has already signed the deal. He has made his medical. The club has not confirmed yet, I believe. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. However, it will be confirmed once his contract officially expires, which is on the 30th of June. So 1st of July, all these transfers are they happen more practically.
Yes.
So Fabrizio Romano has confirmed it anyway, so therefore you can trust the most reliable source in all of
Roma
transfer
already
windows.
said their farewells.
Yeah. And that too, that already makes sense. That already shows where he's going. That already shows that he's leaving after winning the Conference League with Roma. It's brilliant. So let's see what he's going to do at Inter Milan. Same league, where notable Armenian or Armenians, if I'm have played.
Yes,
so,
it's actually the home of his idol, Djorkaeff. So I think he was very happy to make this change because he would be following in the footsteps of, I think, as he would say, probably his favorite player of all time. So it's going to be an interesting one, and I think it's also interesting because we know that he wants to play Champions League, and that's what this is going to allow him to do. You know, Inter Milan are in the Champions League, so you know, let's see what Henrikh can do.
Same league, similar, there's similar style of play. It's a similar intensity. It's the same league, so that's brilliant. They've got a lot of players as well that will give him competition, so it's good.
Yeah.
It is said that he's going to be playing a more defensive role, more creative.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a rotation player. I mean, he's not going to start. I doubt.
No, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Possibly.
But he's expected to play a more creative kind of
deeper role.
Exactly, in the midfield role.
CDM, somewhere there, right? Roma was playing 3-5-2, I think.
Yeah,
so, or like 5. He
would be one of the inside ones.
Yeah, he was playing as a number 10 in the 3-5-2 with Roma under Mourinho. That's what he was playing as. So I mean, we'll see what happens. At this point, I mean, he's retired from the national team. He's getting his bread before he inevitably comes to the MLS. And yeah,
possible. That's possible. Next up, Edgar Babayan, the 26-year-old striker who actually had shots. When he played for the national team. That was one of the problems for the national team, by the way. He signed for Randers. Again, another player in the same league. In the Danish Superliga, he signed a 3-year contract. Hopefully, he can build up that form that he's for 1.5 years he's trying to build.
Yeah.
Moving from one club to another, not playing enough games. He deserves it.
I agree, and I think he even said in an interview that, you know, he had made some of the decisions. I believe it was the one going to the club in what country? Latvia? Was it Latvia, Armin?
Yeah, Riga.
Yeah, Riga. Yeah, he said
handball club.
Yeah, he had made some decisions for money, but he said, he's fully focused on his football now, and he's going back to his boyhood club of Randers after leaving Vechle, who were subsequently relegated. Really didn't have anything to do with Edgar. I mean, he came in the second half of the season and tried his best. He only was able to do so much. I mean, he did score a few goals, so good for him. But now he's
several assists too.
Yeah, and he's at a substantially better club, a historically great club where Spertsyan also played. And
Robert Arzumanian too.
And Robert Arzumanian, there you go. Was waiting for that one. So it's hopefully he gets some good form, gets in some goals, and comes into the national team camp in September, fresh and ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to the next one, I shall be inviting the center back that we've always wanted to see play for the national team, and hopefully he finally plays for the national team at some point. Artur Kardashian, he will be coming to Olympiakos Nicosia in the Cypriot First Division from Noah. He signed a one-year contract. There's also a one-year extension clause. Olympiakos, a little insight. Olympiakos Nicosia, you could say they're similar to Urartu, which is they play the youngsters, as many youngsters as possible. They focus on that. They had two main center backs, I believe. One of them, his contract expired. He did not extend it. Therefore, he will possibly be taking his place. If he's not a starter, then at some point he will get to that stage.
Super positive transfer, I would say, because we talk about how Armenian center backs, the ones that tend to be called for the national team, are ones that play abroad, or the ones that start, I should say. And we have to start looking elsewhere, because Andre Chalesir has been, we love him, and of course we want him fit and healthy, but he's gotten injured. He's missed the last 6 national team games now.
A lot. Yeah,
due to injury. And so this is a very positive move for Kardashian, because he's going into a team that is it's not a bad team, but it's a team that you could clearly tell just through statistics alone that they're in need of a stronger defense. They ended the season with a -1 goal difference, which is not good. You always want to stay positive in the goal difference, and I think if you're bringing in a reinforcement like Kardashian, you're doing it because he's going to be playing. So hopefully that puts him in the national team picture.
You said it, strictly positive, because a relatively young center back like himself, granted, of course, he took a 2-year hiatus from his pro career for personal reasons, which we know and fully support that. But he's still young for a center back at 25 years old. He's going from the APL, the Armenian Premier League, to Cyprus, which we've talked time and again. We said that's the ideal move as a transitional league. It's like it all adds up. It's a perfect full circle, and hopefully it will go well for him. It will. Yeah, I'm positive it will.
They don't have Europe, which is something that we usually look for. But I guess we'll fight for it
either. So
2 years ago, this team was the finalist against Ampartumian. Ampartumian won that final. Remember
that one.
It was that one. It was this team that they played against.
I mean, plus the competition is a little better, but not too much better. It's ideal.
Yeah.
I would say it's ideal. It's a good first move out of the country for him.
I agree.
Well, this next one, it's a loan.
Speaking of ideal.
Well, Pavel Gorelov, he signed a full-year loan deal with FC Van in the Armenian Premier League from Rostov. He's an future Kentron future
football
star.
Future Kentron
I believe.
football star.
Well, I said future star, no?
You said future Kentron football star.
Really nice. Yeah. We all needed a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, we did.
He's from our last one, so Armen knows a lot about this guy actually.
He's exactly what we need. I mean, I was out when I saw this piece of news, and this can't be right. I mean, Rostov, bro, he made his Russian Premier League debut at age 17. It was like, yeah, granted, it was for COVID reasons. Back when Henrikh was the Russian Premier League's first case of COVID 2 years ago. But still, he is their youth team's captain. He makes bench every now and then. He played for the cup at the senior level. He's awesome. He is already Armenia U19 under 19 international. Of course, defensive mid for those that don't know, and for those that do know, that's exactly what we need in the national team, in the senior national team, a defensive mid. And I was asking the guys, is this loan going to be a 6-month loan or a full year loan? And why do I ask this? Because if it's a 6-month loan to Van or any team in the APL for that matter, we only have 2 games for this semester, this upcoming second semester of 2022. And that's not enough. That 2 games is not enough for a double nationality eligible player to get that's under 19 years old, by the way, according to FIFA standards. That's not enough to secure a senior international spot for that country. Under 19 players or players under the age of 19 need 3 or more caps. Well, with a full year loan in Armenia, making it closer for him and more feasible for him getting senior playtime at Van, it's completely possible for Pavel to get 3 caps or why not more. And I'm sure this is the only reason why this is happening. Hopefully, and we don't want to bring too much attention in case, the Russian FA is listening, but too late.
They're not.
The loan is already signed. The loan is already signed. So,
well, I think considering that Gorilov's already plays for the youth national team along with his teammate Kochkanyan, I don't think there's going to be any issues at this point. I think the fact that they were able to commit at such a young age to play for Armenia, and they weren't playing Russian youth like a lot of the other players were, and then wanting to make the switch later on in their career, I see this as a general positive for him, because if Joaquin Caparros is looking at the domestic league for our defensive midfielders, which he clearly is, because all the ones that were called up are from our domestic league. If this kid has a solid first couple months, and he is known for scoring a couple goals, I mean, some arguments can be made, but let's see what he can do. I think it's an overall positive move.
Definitely, and on the one hand, if we look at examples like Artem Simonian that played even youth for Armenia, like he never even doubted that, but that meant that Artem was gonna get frozen as he did. We're gonna get into Artem in a little bit, but going into that example, this might not be like the best idea because Pavel and of course Kochkanyan and others play for us at already youth level. But on the other hand, Pavel is way younger than what Artem Simonian was when he made his first senior full season. This is gonna be it for him. This is gonna be his breakthrough, and that's where the unprecedented is happening for us. I don't know. I mean, but speaking of Artem Simonian, we have some news on him. Challenge, tell us a little bit about Artem.
He's on trial at the Russian second tier at Volgar Astrakhan. The trial at Torpedo Moscow from Volgar Astrakhan, so which is Russian Premier League. Therefore, it's a step above. It's a one higher step. Artur Daniela also is on trial. He's in the list from Panathinaikos, which is Greek second tier. He's having a trial at Akhzaik at the Kazakhstan Premier League, which is again a higher step.
A very, very nice place.
Yeah, that's better than what he was. We're hoping for him to go to the first division, but we knew it wasn't possible. We knew it wasn't. It wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah, the goal for Panathinaikos was to avoid relegation to Greek third tier, and he was instrumental for that, which is clearly why he's now getting a trial at the Kazakh Premier League, and hopefully both of these trials end up materializing and they sign contracts, because we could use both of them at the national team, especially, of course, Danielian. On the one hand, because of position, he's a right back that can also play center back, but on the other hand, because as much as I love Artem Simonian and I highly assess his skills and abilities, he's more than good enough to get into national team rotation for us. Mm-hmm. We know that his transfer actually 2 years ago or 1 year ago, he had an almost done deal to Russian Premier League side Nizhny Novgorod, and sadly that one didn't materialize because of external factors we all know about. So I don't know about Artem. I love him, but it could not, he's playing at Torpedo. He's already a part of the rotation, and the coaches love him and everything. But everything can happen because it's Russia, So we cannot depend on him.
Yeah, I'm gonna. That's a no for me.
Speaking of undependables.
That's a no for me. I just don't think any of these two players are going to be in the national team picture anytime soon. I just can't see it.
Do you think?
Nah, I don't.
Bro, it's a Kazakh Premier League team. I mean,
I agree,
and it's a defender.
I agree, but I don't think so. I'd rather give the opportunity to other players. I mean, I'd much rather see Derderian. I'd much rather see Ambartumian. I'd much rather see Kochkanyan from the under 21.
But to be fair, Kochkanyan is great and all, but he is not a staple at Rostov senior squad. That's not good. That's not going to cut it for the Armenian national team.
And all, So we'll see. I mean, I just don't think they're national team material, but that's my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
agreed to this.
We have the last component.
Speaking of defense.
Yeah. Well, we have the last component of the trials, loans, transfers, all this section, which is the unconfirmed, unclear situations. Well, basically, transfers that still need to happen. I mean, we haven't even entered into the transfer window anyway, but we're soon gonna see what's gonna happen with these players. The first one is Varastad Haroyan. We got the news yesterday that Malaga wants him. Cadiz is not taking him into consideration. Would easily be a better move, because if he's not going to play at Cadiz, then just get him somewhere he's going to play and get him to be a great factor of playing a big role for a team. The next player.
He needs out, but not to Malaga.
Yeah, I would not want to see him in any second division. I'd rather he goes to Portugal, Belgium, Netherlands.
If there's that option, though. I mean, with the option that we have here.
Yeah, we don't know about his agents and stuff.
Yeah, there's still a long time. I mean, anyone can come knocking. So in this football world, anything is possible. So for the moment, this is the situation. Sarkis Adamyan, he's already out of Bruges. Hoffenheim is not taking it into consideration as well. He's wanted by Werder Bremen and some other undisclosed German clubs. But the key team here is Schalke. Why? Because our next unconfirmed situation is Eduard Spertsyan, who is also wanted by Schalke. So I don't know about you boys, but if we see,
I see where you're going.
Yeah, if we see a duo there, it will be very, very interesting. So Sarkis Adamyan is going to be somewhere in Germany, very likely. We're hoping for other places, of course, but Germany we're still happy with. Eduard Spertsyan is wanted by the other club in top 5 leagues. Krasnodar is, I mean, what percentage should I put? 75%, 80% that they're going to sell him. Spertsyan obviously needs to move out of there to play Europe, to play in a more advanced league. It's his time to move to an advanced league. He's our upcoming top star. Any comments, boys, before I move on to the next one?
Yeah, not really. I mean, he is the story of the summer, and he is, I gotta agree, he is currently our best player, and in the future, like, who knows how many Armenian Player of the Year's awards wait for him.
Keep an eye on him.
I think it's
good.
Mean,
everyone's keeping an eye on him after his goal.
I think, there's a number of clubs that are after this kid right now. Monaco, Nice, Brest,
at least 10.
Wolfsburg, Schalke, and those are just the ones that we know of, that we actually know the names of the clubs. And I'm positive he's going to make the move this summer, because I think, of course, the transfer window is not even open yet. It opens July 1st. And as mentioned, Krasnodar could really use the money, considering European competition's out of the question, and they're going to be hemorrhaging funds, and he's the type of guy that
the sanctions, everything, the whole situation.
He's the type of guy that's going to do, he loves his boyhood club, so he's going to do whatever it takes to help his club. So and I think it's going to be a win-win situation all around. It's just yet to be seen where he's going to go. I just hope he makes a good decision and a good long-term decision. And I think the Bundesliga would be a great league for him. I think the French league would also be a great league for him. And I think Serie A would also be a good league for him. So we'll see. But I do have a little bit of news from an article by Kicker a couple hours ago, actually. So TSG Hoffenheim started their training, their preseason yesterday, or today, actually. And they had 24 players in the squad, none of which was Sarkis Adamyan. And according to Kicker, Adamyan is on his way out from Hoffenheim. They are looking to offload him. It's confirmed. But he is still on holiday because he played for the national team, of course. And according to Kicker, there are several Bundesliga clubs that are interested and that are very serious in signing Sarkis Adamyan. So it's looking highly likely that Sarko is going to stay in the German top flight, which is very good news for us, I would say.
Pretty good. So next one is the ghost of the national team this window, Artur Galoyan. I call him the ghost because we're expecting for him to appear in this transfer window after signing him, but after bringing him to the national team, but it didn't happen. He's wanted by half of the Russian Premier League, but a billionaire who purchased a Russian second-tier club is said to be obsessed with signing him. So the thing is, Rostov is ideal for him, for us, because of the national team aspirations. If he moves to another club, it's going to be tough. You boys can add more to that, because I'm sure you know you have more comments on this matter.
The Armenian National Team connection with Rostov, which is one of the clubs that's the most interested in him. I mean, there's not much to add. There's this billionaire in the way that wants him for himself. Anything can happen. I mean, we'll be waiting for the news, but this is the current state of affairs for the ghost. Ooh.
And the final one on our list is David Davidyan. So his situation is that after his incident with Henrikh keyboard, he's most likely going to be out of the club, and he's reported to be signing for the APL champions Pyunik, which we're going to discuss very soon about Pyunik.
It would be a good signing.
According to Transfer Market, he will be loaned to Pyunik from Henrikh, so it's not a purchase, it's a loan. Starting July 1st and ends on June 30th, 2023. So he's going to go on a season-long loan to Pyunik.
Would be awesome.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for the transfer windows. We're going to be having to deal with this, I think, throughout the next month or so, as you know, we hope to see a lot of transfers happening, a lot of good Armenian players going to better leagues. But this time of year is also the beginning of the continental club competitions, and this year Armenia have four representatives in UEFA competitions. First, we will start in the UEFA Champions League, where Armenian Premier League winners Pyunik will face off against CFR Cluj of Romania. Incredibly difficult first round draw, I would say. Kind of unlucky from us, and could have been better. Could have also been worse. But considering the current transition period or lack thereof that Pyunik is going through right now, with losing a couple of players and not really signing anyone new, I think bringing in Davidyan instead of, I believe, he would be the direct replacement for GG10. Not a bad thing. I would say actually that's I would say an upgrade because he's a young, dynamic winger. But the thing that worries me the most is Cluj is in full swing of preseason. They've played 4 different teams already. They've yet to concede a goal in their preseason. They're not playing the best opposition, but they're also not playing that bad of opposition, probably around the level of Pyunik, and they're winning fairly comfortably. Meanwhile, Pyunik is like, you know, like that meme where the guy with the stick like pokes him and goes like, come on, do something. Like, that's kind of what it feels like right now with this club. Armen, first leg is at home in Yerevan on July 5th. Second leg is away in Romania on July 13th. How do you assess Pyunik's chances of going through to the Champions League second round, which is crucial for their European hopes, which we'll discuss in a little bit? But how do you assess their shot at going through?
Not much, not high, I don't.
I mean,
that's basically it.
Yeah, we're talking about the champions of the Romanian league.
I mean, 1 month ago, I would have it would have been there would have been a chance 1 month ago when they became APL champs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, as you said, the progress they've made since it wasn't positive. So, like, I don't know, 3 starters, 3 staple bench players. Didn't make any signings aside from the supposed Davidyan signing that isn't even confirmed by the club yet. They're not playing friendlies. I don't know. It's like that. You said it. It's like we're waiting for them to to do something, and they're not. So it's not looking good.
Yeah, and funnily enough, I'm just looking through their squad and assessing what their squad is going to look like by the time they play Pyunik. And funnily enough, one of Edgar Babayan's teammates at Vekle, Dennis Kolinger, the 28-year-old central defender, the Croatian, was actually just signed by them on loan. Well, weird. I think if that's anything to say, they pretty much had a shaky defense, so hopefully he starts. But I think I agree with your assessment, and it sucks because as we've mentioned before, maybe for those listeners who weren't around this time last year, if you lose in the first round of Champions League qualifiers, you go to the Conference League second round. But if you win and you lose in the second round of Champions League qualifiers, you go to the Europa League, which then if you subsequently lose there in the third round, you go to the Conference League playoffs. So I think winning the first match of Champions League is extremely crucial in Pyunik's hopes of getting into European competition, because it essentially gives them a free pass to the Conference League playoffs. And so it's a really, really big 180 minutes coming up that could potentially define Pyunik's European campaign.
You're holding on to a little the tiniest, slimmest shred of hope, aren't you?
Yeah, because looking ahead, the winner between this match between Pyunik and Cluj play against Dudelange, who Armenians know very well, and Tirana.
It's a winnable draw.
And those are winnable draws. So I think both of these teams are looking at it like, okay, and I don't think Cluj is underestimating Pyunik, because
not at all.
Realistically, even if Pyunik is keeping a majority of the same team they had last season, that's still a very good Pyunik side. I mean, this is a team that lost 3 times the whole season, and they had this incredible run to dethrone Ararat Armenia and to win the title. So it's not like it's a bad team, but they are also lost a couple of key players in Hugo Firmino, who was a great striker for them, who went to Ararat Armenia. They lost Arman Hovhannisyan, which, let's be real, not that big of a loss. And then they lost Gevorg Lazaryan, who, despite his age, is a big locker room presence. So
yeah, I'm not sure if they lost Serge Deblay as well. I think there was a rumor that he was leaving the club too. But they lost Firmino, as you said, and they also lost Devan Vartanyan, that was Firmino's second string.
Mm-hmm.
But he went on. He signed with Noah in search of minutes. So that's 2 strikers, first and second string, out of the picture. All of a sudden, they're gonna need to sign some quality striker before they play Cluj.
Well, as of now, the way that their squad is shaping up is actually a lot better than we had originally anticipated. Because, yes, they have lost Firmino, but they gained Yusuf Odubanjo from Ararat Armenia, who is...
that was a good signing.
A decent signing. As of now, they have retained Deblay, but from what I understand, he's going to be transferring out, most likely. And they do have Nandanovic, who is a Serb, is a decent target forward, but most importantly, in my opinion, Henrikh Petrosyan is actually back on loan from Bekma to Pyunik.
Is he back?
Yes, he will be. He is officially back. So
is he spending preseason with them?
I'm not sure, because Pyunik have been weirdly secretive about their preseason, but his loan officially does end on the 30th.
Yeah, technically it does, and I believe it's not the only Bekma player that it's gonna be technically back from the loan. I believe I think it was Eric Azizian from Van that was on loan at Van, and he's going back. But then again, that's a technicality.
What we have,
they could be loaned out again.
We have Edgar Movsesyan, right winger from Bekma. Not that great, honestly.
I like him. I like how he plays.
And we have Artur Grigorian, who is a solid Armenian League caliber central midfielder. Not the best, not the worst. He's like average.
If anything, I'm more excited about Henrikh and Football Kentron star Henrikh and then Movsesyan, Edgar Movsesyan.
Yeah, and it looks like a majority of the back line is being retained. They have brought in Sergei Vakulenko from Ararat Armenia. Kind of surprising Ararat Armenia let him go because he was solid for them, I would say. So there have been some reinforcements. So it's not all doom and gloom. There is a good amount of players. There are players that can, show their talent. Hopefully, Gevorg Mkhitaryan gets a lot more play time. I know Armen, you'll be a fan of that one.
Yeah.
But that's
their midfield looks great. I mean, they haven't let go of any of their midfield, which they're all quality. Zambrano, Mkhitaryan, Harutyunyan, Dasyan, they're all staying, and they're all solid European club competition group stages. So that's the core of the team, and it's good that they're keeping that.
Yes, definitely. So that match again, July 5th, Tuesday, July 5th is the home leg, and then Wednesday, July 13th is the away leg. Again, if Pyunik win, they'll play between the winner between Duralange and Tirana. If Pyunik lose, they go down to the Conference League second round against Interclub de Escalades. So we'll patiently await those matches, and we will be covering it on Football Kentron as always. Dropping down to the UEFA Europa Conference League, where Armenia have 3 participants this season. We start with our favorite team in the league, Alashkert, who will be playing against Hamrun Spartans of Malta.
He did not just say the favorite team.
Yeah, that was all sarcasm. I don't know.
I was going to say, just in case, make it clear, just in case.
I don't know, what deity this club prays to, because they get the best draws. I mean, I'm hoping they don't get obliterated and embarrassed, but they have been extremely fortunate with their draws, and now they've drawn a team from Malta, which let's be real, Alashkert, as much as we make fun of them, they should be able to win this game, right? I mean,
yeah. Interestingly enough, Roman Hovsipyan is coming back from Floriana in Malta as well, and he was way too good to go to Malta, and I think he went for a little bit of the money and a little bit of the lifestyle. So he's gonna know this Spartans pretty well, and he's a great player. I mean, he wasted his potential, but it is what it is. Too bad Alashkert actually let go of Arvan Papigyan, was one of the most exciting players at that club.
Well, they didn't only let him go. They let about, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
they
8,
let
9,
go of
10,
11,
10, 12,
and
13,
signed
14.
another 10.
So as of now, officially, they've let go of 15 players, and they've signed 6, including Hovsepyan, Anan Mensa from Urartu, Sargis Shahinian from Ararat Armenia.
That one was shocking, especially because he signed from Noah. He went to Ararat Armenia this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and then they also have Beni Kovanesyan, who went from Noah to Van, and now he's at Alashkert. But the most interesting signing, in my opinion, is Sargis Metoyan, who comes from the Romanian second division, who was the top scorer of the Armenian second division last season until his winter transfer. So very interested to see what he does in the first team.
I don't know. I mean, I'm getting what was the name of this guy? Arigian, Gevorg Arigian vibes from this Sargis Metoyan dude. A good striker with a decent potential that signs for Alashkert. That can't go right.
I mean,
can't go well.
For Lerna in Artsakh last season, in 15 games, he had 14 goals and 1 assist. So that was a goal contribution every 87 minutes. So he was very solid, but he couldn't replicate that form in the Romanian second tier, where he actually only played for 46 minutes total in 3 appearances. So he didn't even get the opportunity realistically. And he's a product of the Ararat and Davin academies. And realistically, we haven't seen much of him. So we'll get hopefully a better look. But in addition to Metoyan, they've also signed a pair of players from Honduras, I believe, including this guy, Vladimir Diaz, who's a 29-year-old center forward. I'm not sure. He looks like a journeyman.
Not excited.
Yeah, not looking that great. But you know what? It's Alashkert, man. Who knows?
Exactly.
All right. So Alashkert will be taking on.
Let them go. Let them go.
Right. That's what they did. They probably sang that while they were terminating a bunch of contracts. So if Alashkert beat Hamrun Spartans, they play against Veles Mostar of Bosnia, where Alashkert are very likely favorites again. Again,
it's seeded. It's seeded. It's all the seeding that they're getting it somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's purely because they got one draw in the Conference League last season, so they just shot up their personal coefficients. Next up, Ararat Yerevan will be playing against Shakendia Tetovo of North Macedonia. Ararat Yerevan again losing out on their coach Vardan Bichakyan in the middle of the season, I believe, due to some financial disputes or some things of that nature. And they have also been hemorrhaging players, I believe. So they're also in a weird situation, right, Armin?
Yeah, I mean, their new coach is, I believe, Aram Voskanyan or something Voskanyan. He's a good coach. He worked in Kazakhstan, if I'm not mistaken, and he did a very decent role. But the thing, yeah, I mean, last time out, the last transfer window was fatal to them, and they found some stability. I think they would have performed even worse than they actually did. So if they sign, you know that they actually signed Alexander Glisic, which I think he's a former Alashkert striker with knack for goal. Pretty much a show off, kind of a volcanic Tikran Parseghian, and I don't like how that style of player, but I think it's gonna be okay for Ararat Yerevan because they need a big personality up front, and of course, needless to say, they need someone with a knack for goal when they literally don't have anyone besides Edgar Malakian.
Yeah, so the departures from Ararat Yerevan include Ermakov, who is leaving and going to Ararat Armenia. Robert Hakopian.
Yeah, that one was big.
And Polos Ivazyan, who both went to Shirak, and then Grigor Muradyan, who was released. And they've since brought in Glisic, as you mentioned, Potapov from Alashkert, Arman Mkhitaryan from Noravank, Gor Manukyan from Artsakh, Serov Galustyan from Bekma, Gevorg Arabian from Shirak Gumri, Babu Cham from Noravank, and Vardan Arzoyan, who was without a club but formerly of Urartu. And the weirdest one is this guy Drilon Kastrati, who is a ethnic Kosovoan.
Kosovo.
From who played in the second tier of Switzerland and somehow made his way to Ararat Yerevan. He's a former Swiss under-17 international. He had 10 appearances. He's a central midfielder. Played for Zurich Youth Academy all the way up to under-21s. Played for Freiburg. Played for Freiburg under-19s, and then somehow this kid ends up in Armenia. So I don't get it.
What position does he play?
He's a box-to-box central midfielder.
Okay, that's good.
And he's only 20 years old.
Not that they were missing that type of player, but can't hurt to have someone with that type of class. Ermakov is their goalkeeper. Ermakov is the hardest one to replace, but they signed two good keepers in Manukyan and Potapov, so hopefully they won't have many problems adapting.
So again, they play Skendaria Tetovo of North Macedonia, a team that we don't really know much about, but we do know about North Macedonia a lot, and we know that every time Armenians are playing against Macedonians, it's either a flurry of goals or a snore fest. So it's probably going to be one of those two. If Ararat Yerevan win, they play Valmeria of Latvia, which is another close match on paper. And if Ararat lose, of course, because this is the Conference League, they will be out. So last team is Ararat Armenia, the runners-up of the Armenian Premier League. They will be facing the winner between Dinamo Tbilisi or Tiflis and Paide of Estonia in the second round of the Conference League. And this is, of course, because the winners of the Armenian Cup Noravank, who were supposed to be going into the second round of Conference League, are no longer existing as a club and were denied Europe. So Ararat Armenia reaped the benefits, which I think I speak on behalf of all of us when I say probably for the better. So we'll do a little bit more of a detailed breakdown of that one on the next show because we'll get to know who they're going to face, first of all. And second of all, have a better understanding of what their preseason is looking like. Because as we discussed, Ararat Armenia have made a ton of moves in this.
Yeah, big names.
So a lot of big names and a lot of national team players are going to be playing for Ararat Armenia now, including one of our favorites, Stiopa Mkhitaryan, who, Stiopa strong.
Oh, Stiopa strong.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to be awesome. I mean,
they got Ermakov from Ararat Yerevan. They have Khachumian from Bekma, Arman Hovanesyan, Gevo Glazarian. They signed Hugo Firmino from Pyunik.
Look, Ararat Armenia strengthened their squad. Okay. But it gives me mixed feelings because on the one hand, they strengthened their squad. On the other hand, they're not playing any preseason friendlies other than the one they killed Ararat Yerevan in the Ararat Derby at a friendly. And that's not much of a reference, nothing to draw conclusions from. And they're going to be playing most likely a very decent Georgian powerhouse, as is Dinamo Tiflis. And Tiflis are going to be getting into the draw with in form, which is exactly what Ararat Armenia is missing. So if they fix that, they have a better shot.
Well, the second leg is a month away. I mean, the first leg's on July 20th. The second leg is on July 27th. So there is plenty of time, I think, for Ararat Armenia to arrange a few preseason friendlies and get into form. But again, not playing a competitive game.
They must announce that first.
We know how they are. They're not going to announce anything.
I don't know. Hopefully they do. I mean, last time out, bro, remember the friendly, last preseason, the one Ararat Armenia and Pyunik did against Russian Premier League clubs? Now, that was huge.
I agree. But I think if we are just looking at purely what this team is, it's led by an Armenian coach, which we've been asking for. It's led by an Armenian coach that plays Armenian players, as evident by their friendly win. I think almost the entire starting 11 was Armenian, bar like 2 players or 3 players, which is fine, which is what we're okay with seeing. He's going to bring the best, most likely, out of Girard Sharoyan, which is what we want. He's going to be playing all Armenian midfield, which we want. Stiopa Mkhitaryan is going to be playing at a much better level, which is what we want. So I think the national team is going to see a lot of positives from this as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's mostly positives from FCAA.
Yeah, so that one, of course, is going to be a little bit later. In the meantime, though, there is a lot of football coming up. Hopefully, we see some victories because, we kind of really need that right now for our confidence.
Don't we?
Yeah, right. When don't we? But you know what? If Alashkert can do it, God, someone can. I swear. Really, that should be the big takeaway from all this. Well, any last thoughts, gentlemen, before we wrap up the show?
Not really. Just make sure to go and check out, if you haven't, our last thread on potential Armenian diaspora players that may have gone under the FFA radar, and don't let this go and be misunderstood. We know there are huge names. Just read the notes. Just read the notes and read the whole thread while you're at it. You're going to be entertained.
Chadens, anything from you?
No, we pretty much covered it all. We're hoping to see exciting football very, very soon.
Yes. All right. Well, everyone, on behalf of the boys here, on behalf of Tito and our backroom staff, because, we have a lot of people to keep Football Kentron running.
Taking care of us.
Taking care of us. Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Team.
The makeup team, the cameraman,
sporting
directors, yeah, our scouts,
technical
managers,
yeah, all those people.
President.
Football. It's pretty much all that's pretty much just Tito on Football Manager covers all of that. Okay, thank you for listening. If you don't already, follow us on our socials. We passed 1,000 followers on Twitter. Thank you very much to everyone who followed us. Please share our social media. Follow us on Instagram. Everything gets posted on YouTube. We have a Facebook account, Chadens, right? That thing exists. Like that, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for listening. Peace.